Kagurabachi Chapter 16, just strap in. And if you're not caught up, check the playlist. Chapter 16 is titled Silence, and we pick up with Char sitting on Chihiro's shoulders eating the sandwich that he brought her, and the two of them are walking out of the laboratory where she has been held prisoner. But Chihiro is like wincing in pain, and Char can tell, and she says, "Hey, are you okay? Do you want to switch?" We then get a little aside from the narrator that helps to explain what Chihiro just did. It says, Nishiki augments a single blow of the hand or foot with high density spirit power. But that Nishiki just now aided the movement rather than augmenting it. It's a new method that puts less stress on the body. Less stress is good, but screaming pain is still screaming pain. We then cut back to Chihiro and Char, and Chihiro says, "We can't switch, Char," but he thinks to himself, "Besides, my pain is nothing compared to what you've gone through." Char then says, "Oh, by the way, where's Hino?" And Chihiro says, "She's good. Everyone's just fine." But Char looks down at Chihiro's hand and can see that it's not looking good. And she says, "Your hand. You're not fine, Chihiro." And he says, "I'm okay. Don't worry about it." We then quickly flash back to when Char was still imprisoned and she was listening to a conversation that Sojo and the scientists were having. Sojo says, "Just as we suspected, the regenerative abilities of the Kiyonagi can influence the cells of others. Our goal is in sight, but how come it's still not working?" We then cut back to the present where Char says, "Hey, give me your left hand." And Chihiro says, "Why?" Char then closes her eyes and focuses really hard, and she thinks back to a memory that she and her mom shared, where she had asked her mom, "Hey, why do my owies heal so fast?" And her mom says, "It's just a special power that you and me have, Char. How do you feel when you get an owie?" And Char says, "I don't like it. It hurts." And the mom says, "Well, the reason it heals is because you want to stop the pain." We then quickly cut to Sojo, again, probably in a flashback when she was a prisoner, and he says, "Another failure. The numbers show the cell's influence on others. Do it again with a larger sample." We then cut back to the mom who says, "What matters most is wishing. If you wish hard enough, you can heal any injury." As Char is concentrating, she thinks back to when Chihiro took her to the restaurant to get soba, and then she thinks about the meals she shared with her mom, and then she thinks about how Chihiro brought her this sandwich, and she just keeps concentrating, and then Chihiro all of a sudden is like, "Whoa." We then see the two of them exit the estate, and Shiba walks up from the side and joins them, but both Chihiro and Shiba are looking at something that we can't see off panel, and Chihiro just says, "Mr. Shiba, please take Char." Shiba says, "All right, come here," and Char climbs up onto his shoulders. But then he looks at Chihiro and says, "Honestly, Chihiro, you are the one who should do this, but I can't help but worry." And Chihiro says, "It's fine." And he just starts messing with his hand, like flexing it. And he says, "Char, you healed me, didn't you?" And both of them just kind of look at him, and she says, "Chihiro, don't die." And he says, "Got it, thanks." Shiba and Char then teleport away, and Chihiro just says, "Inten." We then cut back to exactly where we left off in the Sojo versus Kamunabi fight, where they had just basically tricked him into unleashing a full-powered Mei that just got dispersed by water. So now it's on cooldown for 10 to 20 seconds, and the Kamunabi are latching on to that window and launching an all-out assault. So we pick up with Glasses saying, "Kugara, get over here." And Kugara, I believe, is Narwhal. Sojo then chants Yui and shoots a bunch of ice shards toward all the Kamunabi who are approaching him. They are able to successfully dodge, but Feitan says, yeah, that's right, he can still combine Yui and Ko together. We then cut to Ponytail and Ichigo says, "Oh, I really want to get in there and fight too." And Ponytail says, "Be patient, you're our secret weapon." We then cut back to Akuto and Kugara, aka Glasses and Narwhal, and Glasses is sitting on Narwhal's back just like he is in this panel here. And they see that Sojo starts to electrify again. And they're like, "Whoa, it hasn't even been 10 seconds yet. Like, what's going on?" And Kugara says, "Change his strategy?" And Glasses says, "No, dial up the iron," because he's thinking to himself, this might be the true realm that Chihiro was telling us about. He then out loud says, "Magnetize," and him and Narwhal just start to like buckle with electricity. Kugara then says, "All right, it's time, isn't it?" And Ikuto says, "Well, since he went to all the trouble to provide us with such a wonderful electric charge, let's go with the instant electromagnetic blast." So then we've got this full-on Thanos strategy play out. All four members of the Kamunabi who are currently attacking Sojo combine for this. We have Feitan and Big Hands guy here holding Sojo in place. And these little batons that are embedded in the ground, Feitan produced those with his sorcery. So then Ikuto and Kugara shoot out this electromagnetic rail gun, essentially, that just goes straight into Sojo. And it is a direct hit that pierces Sojo and explodes part of the rock they were standing on. Not only that, but Big Hands was able to retrieve Cloud Gouger, so now he's been completely unarmed. Ikuto then says, all right, now that we've got this, it's in the bag, so me and Izuki will handle the rest. We then cut to a panel of Sojo who's got like a wicked grin on his face, and he just chants May. And we see that Cloud Gouger, who Big Hands is still holding, starts to brim with electricity. Then in an instant, not only the sword, but his entire arm and upper side of that torso are just gone. And not only his, but also Kugara's, who has just been exploded through. We then see Sojo go 2 for 2 on the Honored One pose as we get a full page panel of him now being above everyone on the Kamunabi, having shot through Kugara, shot through Big Hands, and shot through the rock they were all standing on once more, now with Cloud Gouger in his teeth. We then see Ikuto start screaming towards Ponytail and Ichigo, and he says, "Move into phase 2! Kazane! Use it!" Ichigo immediately begins to chant Demon Monster, but before he can finish, Sojo flashes through and slices his arm off as well. We then cut back to the present, where we now see that it is indeed Sojo that Chihiro has been staring at. And Sojo says, "I could sense that the more I used it, the more I was able to harmonize with the Cloud Gouger. It's not all that surprising that the intervals between Mei got shorter. What's notable is what happened next. Instead of releasing the built-up Mei, I tried cloaking instead. A bit time-consuming, but all in all, your example was really helpful." We then flash back to the moment that Chihiro became a lightning rod in order to absorb Sojo's attack back in the city. So Sojo employed that very same idea in order to attract himself back to his sword. We then get a quick panel of those massive earthen platforms that Ponytail had created for them to fight on, how they'd all crashed into the ocean, and we also see some various bodies strewn about. And the narrator says, "Even as Chihiro sensed their deaths, he remained focused, sinking ever deeper into concentration." The two of them are having an old-fashioned standoff right now, and Chihiro couldn't be more stone-faced. He is focused, but Sojo is smiling, laughing even, and he says, "I thought you wouldn't be able to move for a while. Besides, you seem to have a deeper understanding now, too. Yeah, actually, there's a lot we have to talk about, but what we need now isn't words." The narrator then says, "Both of them suffered great wounds and were exhausted from battling, but both deepened their understanding of the sacred blades. And at this point in time, they intuitively sensed the time limit of the sword's ultimate attacks, and they just so happened to coincide." We then see both Chihiro and Sojo simultaneously say Mei and Nishiki. The narrator then says, 12 seconds later, the battle would only last a mere moment. And that's where the chapter ends, on this panel here of Chihiro Nishikiing like he does and Sojo Maying like he does. So yeah, the Clash of the Titans is about to begin. I am so hyped. It's going to be hard to wait until tomorrow to cover this, but we're going to. Man, can we talk about this panel and this moment? This was so sick. I mean, we knew it was coming. We saw Chihiro evolve. We knew Sojo was going to evolve too, but damn, rest in peace to the Kamunabi, I guess. It certainly is the implication that they all got taken out, but I guess we'll see. Maybe it could be one of those situations where, you know, gravely injured, but maybe a few survived. I don't know. Rest in peace to my goat Narwhal, though, or Kugara, I think is his real name, but this was nasty. Our boy pulled the Kashimo, you know, the sure hit effect without the domain. It was disgusting. And the fact that he learned it from Chihiro, you know that's got to sting a little bit. The other big thing we learned from this chapter is that Char has the capacity to heal others. I didn't think she would be able to do it like this. I figured her blood could heal other people, but she can just like manifest healing. That's incredibly powerful and also very, very nice for Chihiro because we've all been wondering how on earth is this man going to fight Sojo? So at least he got his hand healed first. And I mean, this entire sequence was just cinema. Starting with Char on Chihiro's shoulders when they walk outside, like he would have immediately seen Sojo at that moment. And so that's why he hands her off to Shiba and tells them to teleport away. And Shiba's like, "Are you sure, man?" He's like, "I got this." So when this gets animated, this sequence is going to be so good. And the fact that this fight is only going to last 12 seconds, I can't wait to see what happens. And then finally, a couple huge shout outs here to Branwyn and Mitchell. Thank you guys for the support. And Branwyn, thank you for the continuing clarifications here. You're a lifesaver because I really don't want to Google anything about Kagurabachi unless I absolutely have to because I want to avoid spoilers. So thank you for letting us know that it is Kuro Shred. There is no scatter. So that must have just been a wonky translation that we came across. And then Mitchell, I do like in a perfect world, I do want to continue the chapter by chapter because I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I think it's really fun that as a community, a lot of you guys are experiencing it the first time this way as well. So if I jump to arc reviews, I know a lot of people aren't going to go read those chapters themselves and then they're not going to be caught up with us anymore. So in a perfect world, I want to keep doing the chapter by chapter, but I just don't know if I'll have the time for that to like really make sense because there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, even in terms of making videos, there's a lot of other stuff that I've had to push aside to do these videos every day. So we'll see. Like, again, in a perfect world, I would love to keep doing it, but we may start experimenting a little bit after this arc. We'll see though, but thank you guys. Anyways, that's all for this one, y'all. We've only got 2 chapters left in this arc, so let's see what happens. I'll see y'all tomorrow.